What's going on, everybody? I played in a RTT today, 2,000 point 40k tournament, 2,000 points of knights is what everybody kind of brought. This was an RTT, so 3 game, 1 day event. A lot of people were trying out, I think, just ideas for tournament lists. A couple people probably brought, sorry, I can't talk, I'm super tired. A couple people brought probably some more competitive lists. Some people brought some kind of crazy ones. But I'm beat. I want to keep this video super positive. Hey. So I'm just going to start out with a disclaimer. I'm not super competitive at all when it comes to playing 40k. I have no investment really of anything into like the ITC. I'm not sure what my points are, even though like I went to like Adepticon to play, you know, I went to Adepticon and I did play in a tournament, but it wasn't because I wanted like tournament points. I just was flying to Chicago and I wanted to do something when I got there. So I will play in events from time to time. The only thing I like to compete at is hobbies best painted or whatever, and there was none of that scored, I guess, at this event, which was super kind of disappointing. Although, to be honest, I think if there was a best painted award, my first opponent probably would have won, because he had a Imperial Knight army and all 4 of the knights were like orc conversion knights, so they were all like orky Imperial Knights. So they were super cool. One of them was made out of a Stampa, one of them made out of Forgeworld Knight, and the other 2 out of the regular Knights, and just all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm going to go over my list for you real quick. This was an Adeptus Mechanicus list, and I have big, almost 50-50 with the Imperial Knights. I hadn't ever played with the Imperial Knight Codex yet, even though I did all the reviews after reading it. I hadn't actually tried it yet, so today was my first 3 games using it. So clearly if I used it more, I would have done better. And also I don't play ITC missions like almost ever, so there's a lot of nuances and little things that like to, you know, I don't ever pay attention to trying to kill more units around for that extra point, whereas I will get that extra point if I kill more units around, but I won't necessarily like aim for that, or holding more objectives at the end. This army couldn't really hold objectives very well, but it worked really well. So kind of like it felt really well. A lot of my games, if you looked at them just from 2 people battling on a Saturday afternoon, fighting to the death, a lot of my games, it probably looked like I was, you know, winning. But when it came down to the points, I usually fell behind and never could catch back up. So here's my list. I like to do things different because I find it interesting. I think it's more interesting for my opponents if they don't have to play against the same thing. Let me see if I can straighten this out a little bit. That might be better. And it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and like 12 hours of 40k is too much for me. But 4 minutes in, here we go. Adeptus Mechanicus, 12 command points. I played Graia, which is a 6-up refusal to yield, which means you 6-up you don't die, and 6-up you don't flee from morale. Every time it happens, your opponent is bummed out because it's, you know, they'll kill your vehicle and then they don't. Super cool. I had a 100% success rate with stopping psychic powers when I had to use a command point and get a 4+ chance. Sometimes I would have to use a command reroll to reroll that 4+, but I always stopped whatever psychic power they wanted to try or whatever one I wanted to stop. I'm pretty sure. I did a Tech Priest Dominus, just the Vulkite Blaster, Max Stubber, and the Axe. The Vulkite's the way to go. 3 shots, 6 strength 6, and you're just fishing for mortal wounds. And I think it's cheaper than the Eradication one. It's definitely the way to go, I think. Keep them cheap. I gave him Monitor Malleus, and that's the one where on a 6+ you can gain command points. This did nothing for me for 2 games, maybe 1 in each of those games, and people had a lot of command points, and I have a lot in this 12, and almost every stratagem I'm doing is a 1 command point stratagem. And it didn't work at all, and then my poor opponent in the 3rd game, it just worked over and over and over again. So it's just my dice averaging out over time there. But it felt like for him that it was incredible, but the other 2 people never really saw it happen. And the relic I took for them was Super Techno Graia thing, and it's +1 command point. And that's what's going to give me my 12. And they took an Engine Seer. I took 3 Cataphront Breachers with heavy arc rifles and arc claws. There was a lot of times where I should have moved these guys and got them into combat and fought with them. It would have been game-changing, possibly. They don't hit great, but they can do some damage, so I didn't use them right. But they are tanky to sit on a home objective and cover with a 2-up armor save, toughness 5. So sometimes they could absorb like a ton of firepower. 10 Vanguard with 2 arc rifles. 9 Vanguard with 2 arc rifles. 3 Iron Striders with las cannons. These are the chickens. I did it in 1 unit of 3. So it's a 6 las cannon unit. This is awesome. The reason this works very well in my list is because I have 2 knights and an armiger. So that people don't shoot the chickens. And I have 2 Doom Crawlers. So we'll get into the logic behind this. And I just threw this list together, and always my list idea for a tournament is, can I kill like a knight or a Magnus or whatever? And if I can, I feel like I'll probably do okay. I definitely needed more board control though, so that's pretty much why I lost every mission. So I have 2 Doom Crawlers with Icarus Array. That's my favorite loadout. I couldn't afford the heavy stubbers, unfortunately. And it was too late last night to really fiddle around with trying to fit them in. I could have dropped some of my trooper guys, but I figured just having the 19 Vanguard guys was already pretty low. I didn't want to go too low. Also, the Icarus Arrays protect me a bit from jet bikes, shield captain jet bikes, whatever, flying hive tyrants, dark Eldar skimmers, harlequins, Eldar, whatever you come across. You hit them on like 2s, rerolling 1s a lot of the time. It's super good. Mortarion, you're good at shooting him. Demon Princess. And this comes out to be 1,013 points. Then I took a super heavy for 3 command points, and I took House Vulker. Reroll hit rolls of 1 if you're shooting the closest enemy unit. This is also in Overwatch, which is cool. But I forgot it almost always. Super kind of a bummer. Plus your range is really long on the Crusader, so you're not always really shooting the closest unit. But there was plenty of times I forgot it, and it probably would have helped. I took the Knight Crusader with the Avenger Gatling Gun, Heavy Flamer, Thermal Cannon, Iron Storm Missiles, Stubber. I would spend a command point to give him Endless Fury, which is the special Gatling gun, and a command point to give him Adamantium Knight, which is you can't wound him on a roll of a 1, 2, or 3. This is good because it gives him protection in hand-to-hand combat against Demon Princes, against Magnuses and Mortarions, against other knights, against Shadow Swords and shooting, against Strength 10 shooting, Las Cannon shooting, against Kill Shot. I did play against Kill Shot. It does help, and he survives a little bit longer because of it. Like a Las Cannon Kill Shot stratagem, they're used to wounding you on 2s, right? And now they have to wound you on 4s. So, pretty cool. I took a Knight Gallant, Sword, Fist, Heavy Stubber, cheap as you can get them, and an Armiger Warglaive with a Cleaver, Thermal Spear, and Heavy Stubber. The reason I had to take the Heavy Stubber instead of the Melt-A-Gun on this guy is because I forgot to pay for my Heavy Flamer on the Gatling Cannon, and so before the first game I had to drop down that Melt-A-Gun to a Heavy Stubber and then drop a guy off my Vanguard. Maybe the better choice would have been just to drop a couple Vanguard, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, it was good times. So with the 2 Dune Crawlers, they're good at shooting vehicles, especially if they fly. Anything that has a fly keyword. Both Vanguard and the Breachers all have arc rifles, which are good at killing vehicles. I was expecting a lot of knights, and there was. And I just wanted to make sure I could, compete with killing them. The chickens have 6 las cannons, and this is a unit nobody uses because they think they have to take the Styges or whatever, and they have to do whatever everybody on the internet does. You don't. There's plenty of cool stuff in this book. So 6 chickens, or 3 chickens, 6 las cannons, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s most of the time in AdMech. And then for 1 command point, you could hit on 1s. Pretty good, right? So if you're an Altioc Hemlock Wraith Fighter, 3 Hemlock Wraith Fighters, I didn't play against that, but if you were, these 3 las cannon, or 6 las cannon shots would be hitting you on 1s. So you're -2, they're still back to 3s, rerolling 1s. So they'll probably hit 4 or 5 times. They could probably kill one. Then you got 2 Dune Crawlers, which have a good shot at maybe killing or at least putting hurt on another one. So it's just there's a lot of variation of firepower for different targets. It works very well. Also, the 3 chickens aren't super tanky, but because you have a Gallant that you have to put a lot of your anti-vehicle stuff into, and a Crusader and an Armiger, the chickens are just not what people shoot at. And usually the Dune Crawlers, people didn't shoot at them either. So maybe if you had maybe the neutron lasers and you went in like 3 Dune Crawlers somehow, I don't know how you'd work it, but they got a lot of turns of shooting, so that was cool. People don't deep strike like they used to with the FAQ, post FAQ, so I didn't need to worry about that at all. Even the Tyranid guy with all his flying hive tyrants I played didn't deep strike anything. The Nurgle guy deep struck 1 Demon Prince and 1 unit of Plague Bears. So, and that's it. So House Vulker, the Warlord trait for them is the 1s, 2s, and 3s always fail your knight, but the stratagem for 1 command point, any 6 to hit in shooting does 2 hits instead of 1. And the Endless Fury Gatling gun, any 6 to hit does 2 hits instead of 1. So when you're shooting the 14-shot Gatling gun, any 6 to hit does 4 hits instead of 1. And it's pretty cool. And also you would reroll 1s if they happen to be the closest enemy, and you should remember that. I hardly ever did, but it would also help you even hit more. So that's good. Or spend a command point, operate at your top wound level, so you hit on 3s instead of 4s. That would have also been a good idea for me, but I didn't do that either. So first game I played Imperial Knights with Igard. I killed all 4 knights. My second turn I would have had probably 3, if not all 4 of them down, but things did not go quite as well as they was hoping. And I left a lot of things with like 1 wound on my first turn, and then those things did damage still. Like he had the Valiant with the Super Flamer, and some cool stuff. So, but I did end up killing all 4 of the knights, and all he had left was like Igard. But then when you look at the points at the end, well, basically it was like 10 Igard guys versus like 6 or 3 chickens at the end of that game. It was a bloodbath, but points wise he dominated because those little Igard guys got to run around and just hold objectives and things. I didn't have a lot of the extra, I don't know. There's nothing too interesting about taking the Igard and the whatever you want list to me, because everybody does it. I feel like in chapter approved it might be addressed, so I don't know if I'd get too attached to all that. I don't do it. I do have Igard and Vostroyans that I'm working on, and it would be interesting, but AdMech I like more. So, second game was also that game was super fun. That guy had, like I said, a really cool army. Second game was also a fully painted army, which was kind of rare at this event, and very nice. He had a Nurgle Death Guard army, had a couple Demon Princes, Mortarion, 2 big units of Plague Bearers, some Nurglings, and then the 3 Predators with Kill Shot. And we had just a bloodbath. This was a super close game. I think we were tied like all the way, if not almost tied exactly, but I could have been ahead by round 3, and then he might have started, maybe, like I could have been ahead maybe round 3, and then he, I think, tied it up round 4, and then 5 and 6 maybe pulled it, something like that. But my last turn of the game, I put all this remaining shots into a 2 wound Demon Prince and I've been flattening this stuff all game long. I killed Mortarion like nothing. I killed him in like 1 turn of shooting. That's how much firepower this army has. And I could not kill this Demon Prince. And that last turn would have been old school, slay the Warlord, kill something on the final turn of the game, killing a unit that turn, which would have swayed who killed more units in that round. Would have been Headhunter. It would have prevented him from Recon. It would have prevented him from Line Breaker. It would have prevented him from I don't know, whatever the other one would have been. It was a big, big swing. And I totally just forgot to shoot my super wounded anti-air Doomcrawler because I was trying to hide it from a kill shot. Or it wasn't even kill shot, it was just one Predator left alive. But so a big mistake on my part. In the first game, I moved my Armiger up to a Knight and then never even shot it. And a lot of times in those situations, I don't even ask my opponent if they'll let me go back and do it. I just don't do it. I don't even want to have the conversation to make them feel like the bad guy if they say no, in which they should feel like the bad guy if they say no, because it's ridiculous to not let somebody do it. But I also just don't even ask because that's not their fault, right? So, oh well. And that could have been game-changing, like I said, when I'm leaving Knights with 1 wound left, to just not shoot Melt-A-Guns and charge with 3 damage, strength 12, or whatever he is. Units, that's dumb on my part. So by the end of it, that pulled the Death Guard ahead like 6 or 8 points. And that, like I said, that was a big, big swing, about probably 6 or 8 points almost on just that last turn by not killing that guy. So that one might have been closer to a draw. I definitely could have won the first one, I think. I don't know. I'm not really sure how to win an ITC mission, so don't listen to me for that. But third game I played against Tyranids. At this point, 3 games for me is too much. I just don't like it. And I was just like, I'm just going to kind of control my objective in the center, the one in my deployment zone, and the one to the far left of the table. He had an Exocrine, a whatever the other big shooty guys. I want to say Turrigon or Tyrannocyte or something. It's got a huge cannon, like a strength 10, d6 damage gun. And a unit of 6 Hive Guard. And even though I knew I wasn't going to... My plan was to just bunch up in a corner so I could kind of cut off a lot of the... Like, okay, he could hold 1 or 2, but I could just swamp through the middle and side and get 3 objectives the whole game. And I don't know what I was thinking. I think I just put him down, like, you know, spread out my stuff equally. And I really shouldn't have done it. But I put my Crusader just, like, right on the side with the 6 Hive Guard. And they already wound on 4, so my 4 up, or you can't wound me on better than a 4, wasn't helping, whereas it would against that Tyrannocyte or whatever that thing's called, or possibly the Exocrine. I'm not sure what his strength was on that gun. And it's 6 of them, so it's a ton of shots, and they shoot twice, and it was like so much damage. And it put me in the middle tier, so, and then because I was in the middle tier, I didn't have enough movement to get away. So he was dead second turn. So like my deployment was like here. And I was gonna go everything over here, but I still spread out my stuff. And my plan was I was gonna move the stuff this way, right? Which was a terrible plan, because moving the Knight this direction, when in this corner is 6 Hive Guard that shoot me here, and then I'm too slow, and then I'm trying to go this way, and then they moved up, and boom, dead. We still had a fairly close game, but actually the Tyranids was the only one that shot the chickens, and he did way better than anybody else. So I think if you shoot the chickens, that's a big deal. Also, if you feed somebody your Knight Crusader, it's good for them and bad for you. And that's it, right? So that's an ICC tournament of somebody that came almost dead last. I got my cat scratching at my door. I think I was like 4th or 5th from the bottom. Because I did score quite a few points. I didn't really get blown out in any game, and most of them were complete bloodbath. But I did not pull through. Some deep striking infiltrators, or Calidus Assassin, or Eversor Assassin, that would have been big. because like in the first game, just wiping out all those little eye guard guys would have been a big deal. So hopefully you can take something away from this. Coming up soon, I got the new Stormcast book, and I'm going to be breaking that down a little bit, not unit by unit or nothing, but a couple army list ideas. And we're still doing that giveaway for the Dark Eldar. My cat's scratching at the door, so go find that video and win that Dark Eldar model. Peace.